Good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for making time for today's session. So today we're looking at performance management training again for managers and supervisors part 2. Okay. So at the end of this course, we're aiming to understand the importance of the appraisal discussion. We're also going to gain some practical skills for effective appraisal discussions. We're also going to learn how to give and receive feedback objectively using the 3 golden questions. And then we'll also identify some common biases in the appraisal process and how to avoid them. Okay, so this is just a brief on how the presentation would be. We're hoping to achieve all of this in the next 15 minutes. So the ground rules are here as well. I'll urge everyone to participate and to interact so that we can have a very meaningful session. All right, so we'll do a quick recap of our session the last time. So in part 1, we tried to understand the importance of the performance management policy and process. So who are the key stakeholders, the responsibilities and the roles of managers, the roles of the worker themselves, right? And why the whole system is important. And then we also looked at how to cascade the departmental KPIs to our team members. So after we have set the organization-wide KPIs and targets, how do we break it down to our team members for them to understand what role they play in meeting the overall objectives of the company? And then lastly, we also looked at the appraisal instruments, which is the appraisal form, and then the cycles we have, which is, mid-year and then end of year appraisals. So moving on. Yes, so today we are going to look at the importance of the appraisal discussion. If we are still together, please give me a thumbs up. I can't see your reactions. What's happening? Please give me a thumbs up if you are here before we proceed. Hello? All right.
I gave a thumbs up, so I don't know.
Yeah,
You didn't see it.
okay. Yes, for some reason, I'm not seeing it. Interesting. Okay, so I've seen something in the chat. Let's see. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So why is the appraisal conversation important? So first of all, we are supposed to track, the goals and objectives that we set, and we also have to measure it, right? So between the employee assessing a period under review, the manager or supervisor also assessing a period under review, we give ratings and we give scores. And therefore, it's important for us to sit and discuss and justify why we have evaluated our workers the way we have. So the appraisal discussion is an important session that you need to have with your team so that you open the floor to discuss how you rated them, why you rated them the way you did, and the areas of improvement you are seeking for them to have. The appraisal discussion is also a platform that helps the manager and the employee to engage and talk about their career interests. They want to talk about their opportunities for growth in the organization. They want to share feedback on how they are being supervised, right? So that is the platform that you also want to take advantage of to have that kind of conversation and establish some facts and then work on it to improve the second half of the appraisal period. So for us to have a very effective appraisal discussion, we are saying that you need to set the tone as a supervisor or a manager. You don't want to have an ad hoc meeting with your staff, be unprepared, and just come to the discussion without much preparation and hold a shabby conversation. But you want to schedule this, you want to plan this, and then have a very meaningful discussion with your staff. So these are about 5 steps you can take to set the tone for a very effective appraisal discussion. So first of all, we are saying that you need to schedule the appraisal. It could be a week ahead, or, a few days ahead, but we think a minimum of 2 days should be enough for you to alert your staff that we're going to sit and have a conversation about your appraisal scores. And then the next thing is that you get the employee to submit their self-appraisal. So the employee is supposed to have rated themselves based on the KPIs and the objectives that you set at the beginning of the year. So they're also going to rate themselves and, come to the meeting with any justifications they have for their ratings. Thirdly, we're also saying that you need to secure a calm and safe venue for the discussion. We all know that some of these discussions can be a bit sensitive, and people want to, share how they feel about their work, like I said, how they feel about how they are being managed or supervised. So you want to get a very, appropriate venue for this discussion. Again, like I mentioned the other time, sometimes people are in shared offices and things like that, and therefore it will not be appropriate for them to be, in a normal environment to or the same environment to hold this appraisal discussion. So to have an effective one, you want to choose, a more neutral venue, like a conference room or an outdoor sitting area that's still in the company. Then the fourth part says, prepare evidence, events, and records of performance to share. So at this point, I would like to also hear from you. Why do you think preparing evidence and events and records is important? So you can unmute your mic and share your perception about this point. So who is going first?
Vanessa.
Okay, Vanessa, tell us why this is important.
So it's important to keep a record because it's evidence of the facts that were discussed. So if there is any dispute, you can go back to the information. And also, you won't be able to remember everything. So you can go back to make sure that what was discussed and agreed upon can be implemented.
Great, great. Thank you very much, Vanessa. So that's important. It helps us to have justification and references for whatever scores we are giving or whatever evaluation we are giving, and it reduces, the employee probably challenging, whatever score you've given them. So that's a really good point. Victoria, would you like to add on the fifth point is giving a positive introduction, like what do you think is the importance of this introduction to the whole discussion?
I think I lost my connection just now, so I just came.
Oh, sorry.
So you can go, yeah.
Sorry. So if I could just take you back. So we're just looking at setting the tone for the appraisal discussion. We've looked at scheduling ahead of time, getting the employee to do their self-appraisal, getting a good venue, and then preparing your evidence. So the last point, we are saying that it's also good to give a positive introduction to the team or to the staff concerning the appraisal discussion, like to say, we are having a discussion over the last 6 months, how we have performed, and I want you to open up for us to have this discussion. Why do you think this kind of intro is important?
Okay, so with that, I think it gives the employees the positive mindset to know exactly what they are into or what they're about to discuss, so they can also prepare for a better meeting. Yeah,
Definitely. So it sets the tone, right? It is not a discussion about a client. It's not a discussion about sales. It's a discussion about you and the worker and the expectations that have been agreed upon, at the beginning of the year. So you want to just set that tone, also put them at ease, ensure that there's this environment of trust, and allow them to also be able to pour out for you to gather the feedback you need to, inform how you're going to manage them moving forward. So thank you so much for your inputs. I think you should give yourselves some applause. I like that. Okay, great. Next, we're going to look at the 3 golden questions. like I said, you can't just evaluate people and leave them with their scores on paper. You have to sit with them and justify to them why you have appraised them that way. Aside that, you also want to get to hear from your employees, what is going right in the department, what can be improved, and even what probably should be changed, right? Altogether. So we're going to look at the 3 golden questions. I really like them because they just set the tone, and break down all the barriers and the walls. Okay, so again, you know that it's very difficult for employees to share feedback, but when the supervisor or the manager opens up with these questions, they are able to come forward, and then you are able to leave the discussion with some very important feedback. So we're saying that you want to ask the employee, what am I doing that I should continue, right? The second question is, what am I doing that I should stop or improve or correct? And then what new thing can I do to impact the team? So let's say at the first question, what am I doing that I should continue? If we are looking at, let's say, a sales team, so the worker can say, okay, we like the fact that you give us perks when we meet our objectives. So we really encourage that you carry on with that because it makes us motivated, and we are happy to work in this kind of environment. So then that's positive for the supervisor, and he can actually, move forward, and even enhance that whatever thing he does, he can enhance it to build the team morale. Then secondly, we're looking at the second question, which says, what am I doing that I should stop or improve or correct? So again, they can also share feedback like maybe your instructions are not clear. Sometimes they get confused, about timelines and things like that. So they would rather that you give them more, clear instructions. And sometimes it happens. Supervisors would say one thing and demand another thing. So you'd be really glad if your staff could even share this kind of feedback with you so that you can know how to better plan and give them tasks with timelines, or clear instructions on what to do, where to go next from one step to the other, right? And then the last question is, what new thing can I do to impact the team? So, or to maybe help the department. So again, if we're looking at the sales department, they can say, okay, maybe we can hold a customer event from time to time where we host our customers, tell them or pitch to them the new things we are doing, the new products we are releasing, so that they can be aware ahead of time and then patronize our products. So you realize that that's also a very positive feedback. It might be a little out of your control because it might require funds and other budgetary or have other budgetary implications. But then you can escalate this to senior management and then get them to solve the problem. So you realize that after a conversation like this, the parties would leave very fulfilled and confident that, this is the kind of thing I wanted to have. I've been able to share my feelings or my request with my boss, and then we all move on from there. Okay, so if you are getting this, please give me a thumbs up that we are on track. We are on track. All right. Just give me a thumbs up that we are on track. Okay. Great. All right, so we're moving on to the 5 common biases and how to avoid them in performance evaluation.